called aloe vera. Now, most people know about aloe vera as far as topical concerns, like a rash or a sunburn. A lot of people will reach for aloe vera, but there are so many things that it does internally. Can you tell us what some of those things are?
Well, see, the skin is our first line of defense, either on the outside of the body or the inside of the body. The inside of the body is lined with the skin also, only we call that mucous membrane. And that mucous membrane can also experience free radical damage. In fact, it does experience a tremendous amount of free radical damage. Many of the foods that we consume on a daily basis are laden with preservatives and other chemicals, pesticides, and so forth. Even if we're fairly careful with our diet, we are going to get some advertent exposure to chemicals that we weren't expecting, and we're going to experience some free radical damage. Also, as we go down through the digestive tract, of course, we get into the bowel area, where there is a tremendous amount of free radical production that takes place. What the aloe vera does, it has a tremendous healing effect on the inside, or on that mucous membrane, just as it does on the outside skin, or our topical layer.
Dr. Hansen, what other properties does aloe vera have that is essential to our bodies?
One thing that most people don't realize is, besides the essential amino acids that we need and the essential fatty acids that we need in our body, we also need essential sugars. Sugars that we either need to manufacture in our own body or that we need to take in dietarily. There are 8 simple sugars, monosaccharides, that the body must have in order to function properly. One of the key things that those monosaccharides do is they coat each of the cells in our body. We're all familiar with the sugar glucose. Glucose is found, of course, in all of our fruits and in most of our foods that we eat. And glucose is essential for providing energy to every one of our cells. But there are 7 other sugars that are also very, very important. And one of the key things that these sugars do is they combine with protein molecules and form a coat which forms the surface of each of our cells in the body. What this coating does, we call it a glycoprotein, or basically a sugar-coated protein. This allows communication to happen between the cells. What this communication process allows the cells to do is to identify each of your cells as part of you. When an invader enters the body, like a bacteria or virus or fungus, that particular microbe doesn't have the same markers on as your individual cells do. Therefore, when an invader enters the body, like a microbe, bacteria, or virus, your cells can then recognize it as something that is an invader, that we call that an antigen. And what that causes then is the cell can then communicate with other cells so that an antibody reaction can take place. If these nutrients then are not supplied to the body, then the cells can not produce enough of this glycoprotein coating, and the communication process starts breaking down between the cells, and then illness can take place.
And Dr. Hansen, the aloe vera has all 8 of these essential sugars, correct?
This is absolutely correct. This is a complete, in fact, it is the most complete nutrient that I am aware of that contains all 8 of these essential sugars.
So it makes it really important.
Yes, it does.
Dr. Hansen, in the world that we live in right now, we are exposed to so much bacteria, so much fungus, so many parasites, so many different things that invade our body. What can aloe vera do for that?
One of the great properties about aloe vera is that it is antimicrobial. It has the capability of killing fungus, bacteria, and viruses. Also, another key property of aloe vera is it is an anti-inflammatory. Now what researchers are telling us is that inflammation is perhaps the underlying cause for the majority of all the disease processes that are happening in our bodies.
And aloe vera is anti-inflammatory. What does that mean, Dr. Hansen?
What that means is that when we are exposed to certain chemicals or when we eat certain foods, we produce an inflammatory response. And these are protein molecules then that react with other molecules in the body. And they also act very similar to a free radical in that they can cause cell damage. And what the researchers are telling us now, that even in the cardiovascular system, if inflammation is kept at a low level in the body, that the high cholesterol levels and so forth become much less dangerous to us.
Dr. Hansen, what you've told us about aloe vera is pretty impressive, but I understand that there is another important aspect that you want to talk about.
There's another amazing thing that aloe vera is very high in. There's a molecule called beta-cytosterol. Beta-cytosterol has been shown in studies to have a tremendous effect on reducing the swelling of the prostate. Not only that, it has the capability of pulling fat out of the plaque that may have already formed on the arteries. In addition to that, this is an amazing molecule. I love this molecule. It has the capability of reducing estrogen levels, and I'm going to talk about why that is so important. And it also, like the pomegranate, as I mentioned earlier, the beta-cytosterol molecule will increase the nitric oxide levels in the body. So here we have a second hitter that is increasing the nitric oxide levels.
So it's anti-aging is what you're trying to say.
Anti-aging and anti-stroke and anti-heart attack.